Hi, would say I'm happy to see you all, but I can't exactly see you, so hope you're happy to see me. Anyways, it's been a while since I've done a vlog. I've been doing mostly vlogging, but I really want to get back to vlogging and getting more comfortable talking in front of the camera. You would think that if you knew me personally, you would probably think that wouldn't be a problem for me, but it is. And excuse my sniffling and everything, I'm having issues with sniffling. The weather has turned very cold very quickly. I wanted to talk about some stuff I've been going through the last 2 weeks. I have 4 kids, if you don't know that. My oldest is 16. She has Asperger's. And then I have a daughter who's 14. She's currently being re-diagnosed. Earlier, when she was younger, she was diagnosed with ADD and borderline Asperger's, but not enough to actually get help or IEPs or 504 plans, which she desperately needs. So we're trying to open those doors back up for her so she can get help at school. And then my sons, one of them is, he's 12, and he has autism. This is a particularly hard year, probably because he's hitting puberty, and getting through to him is getting more and more difficult. I am looking for, you know, that magical thing. It's not really magical, but each kid's different, and relating to them, it can be a bit of a puzzle or a mystery. And then my youngest is Kyle, and he's 9. And he has DMDD. It's under the ADHD umbrella, even though it's not really ADHD. It has a lot to do with defiance and I'll have to look it up, tell you another time. Anyways, it's a long words. Okay, I should have wrote that on my notes. But anyways, he has trouble sometimes disengaging from his thoughts. So he may be thinking of something that happened a long time ago, but to him it's happening, or it just happened. And so he doesn't walk around like this all the time, but when he's in a meltdown mode, you know, it's hard to make sense with him. So the trick is to stop him and to teach him how to stop himself from going into the meltdown mode. So, you know, like autism, there's the whole meltdown thing. And so I actually did have a breakthrough with him, and I'll talk about that later. My biggest one was a breakthrough. I am not with my oldest, but with myself, because of my oldest, my 16-year-old. She's you know, even though she has Asperger's, she's actually become, as a teenager, she's become the easiest child to raise, because she really does go by logic, you know, and very responsible. But we have moments, and they're just, for me, I know that I know she has Asperger's. I know that it's related to that. But for some reason, it's always something I have a hard time just letting go. So it happened recently. These things don't happen very often. Her and I usually get along fine, but it happened recently. And it was right before her going to her dad's house. Oh, sorry. My nose is really bothering me. Normally, their dad takes the boys on the weekends. And occasionally he was taking the girls to take them out shopping and so forth, which is wonderful. It's only been going on like a year. Well, taking the boys has been going on about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And hey, this is getting kind of crazy trying to get this filmed, and it's chopped up in bits and pieces. I actually finished, but this is going to be in the middle, because one of the sections didn't actually record anything. It recorded about 5 seconds, and I didn't know that. So I'm going to try to go over the information that was not recorded, and it's pretty simple. I label this The Fight. Alright, so we were going on about Hannah, and she had some candy corn pumpkins that she got from a teacher, and she had told me how excited she was to bring them home and share them with the family. And so she had done that. Anyways, it was like a couple days later, she had put them in a container, and she was in the kitchen handing them out piece by piece to her siblings. And Kyle started asking for a candy corn pumpkin. And she said, no, we have to eat the candy corn first. Now, the candy corn pumpkin was on the bottom, candy corn was on the top, and I really didn't think she was intending to hand out all the candy corn at that moment, so that meant that however long and however many days it took to go through the candy corn, he would have to wait. And he's only 9 and really wanted a candy corn pumpkin. So I said, Hannah, just give him a candy corn pumpkin. It's not going to hurt anything. And that's what started the fight. I know, it's pathetic. But it wasn't really the candy corn that was the problem here. It just was what sparked the problem. That's how they usually are, something small. Later on, after getting away from all this, I realized too that that was part of her autistic side. She had a system in her head, and there was these layers, and she wanted to get through the layers, and she couldn't disengage from that. But what made her really set off was that she felt I was making her give stuff to the siblings that belonged to her, because she sees that as a problem we have. Of course, I have my opinion. Anyways, I believe that the next section here I'm going to explain that I had to do some digging and find out why I was so mad at her, because I ended up getting very, very angry. I felt at the time I was angry because she was being defiant in front of the siblings, and I didn't want the other kids thinking it's okay to, just say no to mom and to just do what they want. And, but I got really, really angry. Kara calmed me down. She talked me into taking 5 minutes away. I wasn't able to, even though I was able to chill out, I really wasn't able to get over the defiance issue till later on. I believe this is on the next part. If it's not, I will be back to do another middle section. Okay. Hello. I've had to completely switch cameras, and this is being inserted into the middle of the video. It's just, it's been pretty crazy. This camera has a bad reputation for video recording, so I just hope it comes out. But I will carry on as if it is. Okay, so what got left out and not recorded on the last, one of the many things that didn't happen, okay, was me explaining what my fear was, what caused me to react to Hannah. And basically, I have friends that are single parents and their moms, and some of them have children that, as they've gotten older, have become very aggressive, and these moms have really no one to turn to. The law does, I have seen the law work in some cases, but in other cases it didn't. It just depends. And sometimes these kids get violent with each other, and they've gotten violent with their mom, or if it's not physical, and I know families where it's physical, but some are still verbal, but it's still bad. And I just don't want that happening to my family. And here we are in the same dynamic, single mom, 4 kids. They've got things that they're dealing with. And so I've pretty much come up with my own plan instead of really dealing with the fear. We come up with the plan. It's somewhere to start until you realize what you're doing. My plan was basically that if they, got to that point where they were disrespectful, I couldn't control them, and they were a danger, they would go live with their dad. That's what I tell them. But kids aren't stupid, and eventually they'll figure out that my plan may not be foolproof. Their dad has become involved in their life over the last couple of years, but there's been times where I wasn't sure if he was going to continue being involved. And right now he's got a fiance coming in a couple weeks. I'm very happy for him. I'm happy for both of them. But I also wish I knew how this is going to affect the family, because I don't know how, is he still going to be spending time with the kids? Is he slowly going to drop out of the picture again? Please pardon the heater. I have a very cold home. It's not controlled well. It keeps going on and off, and so I will try to talk loud. Okay, it's about to start up right now. Anyways, So I don't actually know if he would, if one of them were to get out of hand, I really have no guarantee that he would actually agree to take them. He would love to not pay as much child support, but at the same time, he loves his privacy a lot. So I have no idea. Anyways, obviously, that's where I was reacting to Hannah being defiant, or what I felt was defiant in front of the other children, was, you know, I don't want our family to get out of hand like some of the families I've seen. And so that's like, yeah, that's a deep fear that I have to deal with, and I cannot take it out on her. She is 16. She has her own fear she's got to deal with. And she's trying to find her place in the world. Obviously, me blowing up doesn't make her understand what I'm saying any better. Yeah, that was where the fear came from. I'm pretty sure I deal with the rest of this on the next part that I already did. We're kind of going back and forth in time. You're time traveling with me today. All right. I'll see you in a second. Okay, here we go again. This time the card ran out. I have a whole bunch of stuff on here my kids are supposed to take off, so I need to get them to take that off or something. But it's hard to know where I left off. I believe it had something to do with discovering where my real frustration with my daughter was from, and it was not her, but it was my own fears deep inside myself. So she was indeed a mirror, and sometimes we look in mirrors and we don't like what we see. We love our children, but when they reflect something in us that we're not comfortable with or afraid of, it sets something off. And so instead of just going off, it's a good time to say, okay, what's really going on inside myself? It's time to look inside myself. And I don't want to cut our lines of communication. I do want to be able to tell her what's wrong, but at the same time, not make her close off while I do it. And of course, me getting mad and agitated at her is a major close off for her. So, yeah, so the root is fear. As hard, as much as we think we've done work on ourselves and gotten rid of fear, I think that's just a lifelong lesson. Things that sneak up on us because of things we've seen or things that happened in our past, and we don't realize that a little root of fear has taken growth in there until something sparks it. And then you say, what did I do that for? Why did I react? And because it's there, it needs to be pulled out and gotten rid of. Burned. Done. Okay. So learning that about myself, I love learning things that I can fix about myself. It's very freeing, very wonderful. I was able to apologize to Hannah. And I told her, hey, I have a fear, and I was reacting to you out of my own fear, and I do apologize. I'm still not sure she understands about the pumpkins. But it's okay. We will move on. There's a couple quotes. Before I read them, I'll read them at the just before I stop talking on this vlog, if the camera will keep running for a moment. I had another wonderful breakthrough with another one of my children, Kyle, my youngest, the one with DMDD. He borderlines, his attitude, the way he talks, he borderlines on what probably people would call narcissism. He thinks he is great. He's handsome, he's smart, and he's going to fix the future. And I believe one day he could do that. However, when he is in a meltdown mode, he's completely the opposite. He has a lot of self-hate and all this, and it's once he gets into meltdown mode, you can't reason with him. I'm hoping that, now see my heater's going off. I'm gonna take a break and turn my heater down. make it through to the end. Maybe if I talk really fast. I was thinking I should do the whole thing in an accent because people love accents. I'll have to do that one of these days. Okay, but I've already got started. I'll just finish this. So, Kyle, DMDD, narcissistic, self-loathing. Very, very crazy sometimes. But he is very smart child. I really look forward to seeing what he does with his future. I look forward to seeing what all my kids do with their future. They're all amazing kids. And they always are surprising me with what they do and what they know. It's wonderful. However, when he's in his meltdown mode, it's been extremely difficult. And sometimes he hardly ever has one. We'll go maybe 3 or 4 days and everything's smooth sailing. And then sometimes it'll be every day for a week. And that's really difficult. And it can even just spread throughout a whole day. So, I was reading, I often read Malcolm Gladwell books. I'm a big fan. I am on my 4th one. And the one I'm reading now is What the Dog Saw, which is very different from his other books. And each chapter or section is, they're taken from, I believe, a compilement of his, I think it was the New Yorker, when he was writing for a magazine. I know what it is, I just forgot now that I'm talking about it. Anyway, so it bounces around from subject to subject, which is not normally how his books go. I finally got to the book, the chapter that the book's named after, What the Dog Saw, which is the chapter on Cesar Millan, who a lot of people know as the Dog Whisperer, and a fan of his, and I've learned a lot from watching a few of his shows. So really great chapter, by the way, in Malcolm Gladwell's book. At one point, he's talking about this crazy dog. And when Caesar had walked in the room, Caesar looked like he was fighting with the dog, but him and this other guy were watching the video of it and slowing it down. Caesar was in control the whole time. He was kind of mimicking the dog in certain ways, if I read that right. And basically going into the dog's world. And then later on in the chapter, he talks about an autistic child and this lady who was helping him in therapy, and the child went into a meltdown, and the lady just went into the meltdown with him. And I had forgotten, but years ago, before they even knew much about autism, that was the big breakthrough, was learning that when you want to pull an autistic child out of their meltdown, trying to interrupt them or stop them or cuddle them or get mad at them, all those things make it worse. It makes them shut down more. But when you go into their world with them, like I remember the movie with the kids spinning the plates, when they would sit down and spin the plates with him or whatever it was, the kid, they could slowly bring the kid out with them. Like they had to go in his world and then come out. And I thought, well, even though Kyle doesn't have autism, it's worth a try. And so the next time Kyle started, he started having a meltdown and he started going to this, I'm an idiot, and saying to him, you're just trying to get attention, or no, you're not, honey, you're smart, or stop it, snap out of it. Just like with the autistic kids, it just fuels the fire no matter what it is. So there I went. I'm like, I'm going in, I'm diving in. So I yelled back, I'm an idiot. And he looked perplexed, and then he started saying other mean things, and I just, like, very sincerely, like, I'm talking about myself here. I'm this horrible thing that he's saying. And next thing I know, the things he was saying started to get a little silly, and there's a little twinkle started appearing in his eye, and sure enough, he was on his way out and was completely entertained by Mommy saying horrible things about herself. But it worked. It pulled him out. He was laughing. It wasn't even, his normal, wow. It's just pulling him out of that, it usually doesn't end with laughing. So that was nice. It's been several days. Okay, so this might be the last part. The camera had cut off the entire end of what I said on the other one. Boy, am I going to have to get my computer camera up and running and sound. Alright, so I was talking about Kyle and pulling him out of his meltdowns, going in, taking the dive in with him, and saying all kinds of horrible things about myself. And it's been working like a charm. It's wonderful. Awkward if you were to see. But the other kids have been briefed on what mommy's doing, so they just kind of go do their own little thing while I'm saying terrible things about myself. And when I say terrible, it usually goes from I'm an idiot or I'm stupid to I pick my boogers and I poop my pants because he thinks that's hilarious. And that means he's out of the meltdown and he forgot that he was upset in the first place. I don't mind that. We did have, he did try me with the using quote unquote foul language or bad language. If you've read any of my stuff, you know how I feel about that. But a lot of people get very offended by certain words, and so I encourage my children not to say them because they get in a lot of trouble. So one time when this was still new, and it's actually still new, it's about a week, but like the second day I think we had to do the meltdown together, he decided to use all the bad words he could think of, and there was no one else around, the coast was clear. So I just used all the bad words right there with him, and he actually hasn't tried that one since. So that worked. There's certain things I won't do, but I find ways around them. Like he wanted one time tried saying something about I hate Levi, his brother, and I looked at him like, you didn't, and then he thought that was so funny because he found a place that I wouldn't go. And he's tried saying, I hate Kyle himself. And I look at him and I'm like, hey, not fair, you're cheating. And, there he goes. He's laughing and he's out of his meltdown. So, it works. Very interesting. I'm glad, we found that. And glad Malcolm Gladwell reminded me in his book about that. And I did not finish telling you about the dog, because basically Cesar Millan was doing the same thing with that bad dog. And next thing you knew, the dog was laying on the ground wanting his belly rubbed, and he had come right out of it. And so it worked for the dog. I'm not telling anyone to try that with a violent dog. You probably should know what you're doing first. But hey, it's a good chapter to read in what the dog saw. And I was also, when I had mentioned this, I couldn't remember where the articles came from. It was the New Yorker. It's basically from some of the best of his writings from the New Yorker compiled together. So yeah, the subject matter's all over. Not a book I recommend reading first of his. Definitely, I'm enjoying it, but it's odd. If you're going to read his books, I think starting with Blink and The Tipping Point and Outliers is good. I haven't read the David and Goliath book yet, but that's on my list of books I want to read. Let's see, is there anything else I forgot? I think I got that. There's some quotes I wanted to read that I think I mentioned earlier. So I will read those to you, and then I will be done. Now these are going back to Dr. Shafal, and I had wrote these down. I really enjoyed what she said. All right, here's one of the quotes. You know what tires us out the most? Our own anxieties. We want them to fix them as in our kids. We want them to fix our own anxieties. Our kids are our mirrors. Awesome quote. When you think of it that way, it is not our children's job to fix our anxieties. But if we don't stop and find out why we're reacting, that's pretty much what we're doing. So it's worth saying, I can take 5 minutes and then take a couple days if you need it. And really do some soul searching. Find out what's really going on there. Okay, another quote that I wrote down from when I was watching her was, where does it all start from? From our fixation of all things external, all things superficial, all things unessential, out of fear. The bully is fear-based, right? Depression, ultimately, is fear-based. All anxieties of life come from this kind of upbringing, that you are your doing and not your essence. Very beautiful. I said a beautiful part. Okay, I do have one more quote, and then I'll say goodbye for now. This is a quote from Rob Bell on Help Desk, and you can actually actively do this if you need to do a little relaxation and release and clearing your mind. Just ball your fist up and ask yourself this, okay? Are your palms closed in a fist holding on to bitterness? Or, now open your hands up. Are you living with your palms open so you can receive? My palms are open. I hope yours are too. Open them up and let's receive and do better every day. Thank you for listening. I would love to hear your comments and your stories and your experiences. And I would also love it if you would hit my subscribe button and get updates. I will try to do more and not have such choppy videos. All right, thank you.